Hello, today I would like to talk about a satirical poem that is Absalom and Achitophel. It was written by John Dryden and it was published in the year 1681. The genre is satire and it was written during the Restoration Age. As we all know, the term restoration refers to the restored monarchy of Charles II. Now I would like to mention a few things about John Dryden. John Dryden worked for Cromwell's Secretary of State. When the monarchy was restored, Dryden dominated the literary scene of Restoration England. He wrote numerous poems and public speeches, and he was frequently commissioned by King Charles II to write directly on the Crown's behalf. After the ban on theatres was lifted, Dryden began writing plays and quickly became famous. He is perhaps remembered most of for his satirical poems, and Absalom and Achitophel is one of them. Now, before we go into the poem, I would like to address three important phenomena which took place during that time to understand the poem better. Now, the first one is the Popish plot, second is the Monmouth rebellion, third is the Earl of Shaftesbury. Now, Popish plot was the Jesuits planning the assassination of King Charles II in order to bring the Roman Catholic brother Duke of York to the throne, that is James II. James II was a Catholic. Second is the Monmouth Rebellion. Monmouth Rebellion. Um, the I This was an attempt to overthrow James II. Now, the first Duke of Monmouth was James Scott. So, James Scott claimed to be the rightful heir to the throne and attempted to displace James II. Third is the Earl of Shaftesbury. Now, this is a title in the Peerage of England created for Anthony Ashley Cooper, who was a prominent politician. So, Earl of Shaftesbury sponsored and advocated three exclusion bills which sought to exclude the king's brother James II from the throne because he was a Roman Catholic. Now, eventually, Monmouth was caught preparing to rebel and seek the throne, and Shaftesbury was suspected of fostering this rebellion. Shaftesbury was then seized and charged with high treason. So please take care of these phenomena because in this poem, John Dryden has thinly metaphored Charles II to King David, which is one of the characters, and which is one of the characters, and Absalom to James Scott, that is the Duke of Monmouth, and Achitophel to Earl of Shaftesbury. Now, these main characters of the poem are actually taken from an excerpt in the Bible, King David, Absalom, and Achitophel. The poem starts with the peaceful reign, talking about the peaceful reign of King David. King David was the ruler of Israel, and in that era, polygamy was not a sin. So he had many wives and many children. So out of those children, there was one child who was very handsome, and he won renown in foreign fields, and he was like he David loved him dearly and indulged his every desire, and that was Absalom. Now, David's reign did not remain peaceful because the Jews were tempestuous people who often threw their ruler for a new one. So the Jews started to mutter and complain, but they actually didn't. Nothing came out of it because they were disunited. So they started plotting against the king, and they stoked the Jews' fear of the heathen Jebusites, whose land they had taken long ago. Now, Jebusites are the people living in Jerusalem, which is in Israel. So factions stir up and began to threaten the government. Now, inside the government, inside the government, there was one witty counselor of David, who is known as Achitophel. Now he was restless and he desired so much for fame and power. So, and he knew that the people were swayed easily, and he turned to the handsome Absalom into his pawn. Now Achitophel complimented and charmed Absalom, telling him that it is a shame that his low birth was taking him away from the throne, and that his father's legal successor was David's brother, that would be Absalom's uncle, and Achitophel started commenting on, subtly commented upon the father's weaknesses, and it began to affect Absalom. Now Absalom started to think himself as destined for greatness. Now Achitophel devises his plan to strip the king of his throne. Now he was not alone in his plan. He was accompanied by Zimri, Balaam, Caleb, Shimei, and Shimei was so intelligent. Like he was so intelligent that he was a powerful man. Shimei robbed and cheated the Jews every chance he got, so they decided to make him their magistrate. Now under his tenure as magistrate, treason was legal, and he started dissenting Jews to guarantee that the king's enemies are free and his supporters were imprisoned. But worse yet is Korah, who actually engineered the plot. He was a priest, and so the people failed to see his deceit. So surrounded by such men, Absalom addresses the people. He claims that he claims he is outraged by their troubles, and he wishes he could suffer on their behalf. So Absalom tells the people that he loves his father, but their liberty is at stake. So it says that he wipes a tear from his eye and tells the people his tears are all he has to give. As the people raise their arms to Absalom in praise, he departs with Achitophel and his men in a royal procession, visiting the people of Israel. Now everywhere they went, Absalom is received with love and admiration, and Achitophel is easily able to identify any possible enemies to their cause. Now during these commotion, David had some loyal men in his side. He actually And they were Zadok, Sagan, and Amael. Zadok, Sagan, and Amael. They will tell now these people told David of Absalom's ambition and Achitophel's deceit. So finally David addresses the people of Israel. Now David tells the people that he has allowed his role as a father to cloud his judgment as a king, but he will not show them that he is not good by force. So Absalom's attempt to shake up the kingdom and seize the crown is not a threat to David, and if Absalom wants to continue his efforts, he must be prepared to fall. Now David is the king, he says, and God will not allow such treason to come to pass. David is not afraid to draw his sword if he must, and he reminds the Jews to beware the fury of a patient man. If the Jews want a fight, David is ready, and while they are breathless and exhausted, he will strike them down. As David speaks, thunder rocks the sky, and every Jew knows their rightful king. So this was all about the poem. As we could see, the poem placed most of the blame for the rebellion on Shaftesbury and makes Charles a very reluctant and loving man. This happened because, as I mentioned earlier, Dryden used to write directly on Crown's behalf. This poem was the perfect example of that too. Thank you.